Good day and welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 508, and tonight we will be talking about the PTI camp, spring camp, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is in March, but these gentlemen will definitely correct me if I'm mistaken. So tonight's guests are Tuhon Jack, Tuhon Scott, and I think Danny's a Tuhon, but they'll correct me if that's not the case. At any rate, these three gentlemen will be coming on and they'll be discussing what they're going to cover at the camp, who's teaching what, etc., etc. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from and smash that like button. And without further ado, here are the trifecta. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, I'm going to try to, I like the square better. Let me do something here. Perfect. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So,
here we go.
camp. When is it?
March.
What?
22nd, 23rd, 24th?
21, 22, 23.
Oh, there you go. 21, 22, 23.
Yep.
And location?
New Iberia, Louisiana.
Louisiana. Okay.
It'll be held at the Progressive Martial Arts Training Center in New Iberia.
Okay. So,
and it is the spring camp, like you said.
Spring camp. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I am not a Tuhon.
You are not a Tuhon.
No, I'm just a hey you.
You could be a new Han, a wish Han.
Oh.
I'm an old Han.
But all right. So if I ask somebody a question, we'll swing it around. So Tuhon Jack, you were kind of, been holding the fort, been with Tuhon Bill the longest, kind of the right-hand man, if you will. What's the goal of the camp? What's the goal for you guys?
First, I think Danny and Scott have been in it a little longer, but I've just had, just being in the same state as Tuhon Bill, I'd see him. Cover a certain block of curriculum, but the big thing is giving people reps. People want to show up and they take different people take away.
Yeah, we're kind of losing your audio there, Jack.
Yeah, you're in and out. Maybe.
Oh, Danny, once you answer it, I'm going to.
Actually, that's better. Tuhon Jack, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move closer to the camera.
There you go.
So the big thing is getting lots of intelligent reps. To be able to get as much as a feeling and the conditions for a technique to exist. And the technique exists. You adjust the technique.
Yeah, we're losing you again, Jack.
Answer it, Danny. Let me get into better.
Yeah, it's not a problem. So the premise of the spring camp, Dean, and for others to know is that John Scott and I had talked about this for several years prior to starting it, was that we were finding that, we felt that those people that were up and coming were not getting in enough reps to really know and understand the material. They understood it maybe on a theoretical level, and they may have understood it on an educational level, but actually being able to have the skill set that followed it, we felt was lacking. One of the things that I know John Scott and I talked about this many times was the amount of reps that we used to do in all the seminars that we did with Tuhon Bill, and every time that we got with him, it was just reps. Now there was lots of information, but we repped out the material, and we felt some of that was beginning to sort of lax. So when we decided to do the spring camp, it was going to be more of good, strong, mindful reps to really develop skill sets, more of a mastery, if for the lack of a better term. You'll never master everything in one weekend, but to assure that those people had enough reps that they could go home and continue to work on that material themselves without having to really think hard about it.
Okay. Tuhon, Scott, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I agree fully with what Danny's saying. It started off when we had the discussions. We were starting to see that a lot of people were, when you go to these camps, it felt like they were drinking from a fire hose with technique. You get the old joke. The old joke was, $100 technique. You go to a seminar and you flooded with so much material that you paid a lot of money for it, and you came back with one technique. So the premise and what we were talking about was, let's start doing less material, but let's just burn them out on fewer quantitative material. Let's just keep it simple and a few techniques, but just spend the whole 3 days really repping them out to where they feel like they really have the material. Not only can they do it, but they feel confident with it that they can actually execute it under stress. And that's, I think, where a lot of people have a problem is they can do the technique in the air, but you put them under stress, and that's when the panic mode sets in. And so that was one of the things we were trying to accomplish, is to alleviate some of that. The other thing that you found is when we were testing people, the stress of testing, you've got 2 or 3 people and they're trying to do the repetitions, they're trying to do the drills, and you could tell that the technique wasn't quite there because they hadn't put in the reps. Some of them did. Now, some of them did very well. Other ones, you could tell that there was some lacking there for doing the repetition. So I think that was, like Danny said, that was really our biggest goal, is to make sure we weren't flooding them with technique, but really burning them out on what we did give them.
So, dare I say, this being a new approach, are you guys kind of going with less is more, so to speak, Tuhon, Jack?
You just have to let me know if you can't hear me. I'll try to adjust again. It's possible that is that
Yeah, Tuhon, Jack, your volume is still. I'm wondering if when you were closer, it did seem to be better.
All right, so why don't you guys continue the discussion? I'm just going to relocate where I am, and maybe
That's perfect, right? Whatever you're doing right now is
Whatever
perfect.
you're doing there is great.
Yeah. Wonder if it's not an internet connection, maybe?
I don't know. I think when you got closer, it was actually working fine.
You're a little better, yeah.
I think it's. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're talking about mindful rep intelligence. Do it lots of time.
Still losing you.
Yeah, we're losing you again. Yeah.
Danny, take it over. I'm going to try to move myself. So.
Okay, so the long term that we had before was the summer camps, and in the summer camps, the premise was to get as much information out to people as best as we could, and we ended up feeling that we were giving them far too much information as far as for them being able to walk away with something really substantive that they could actually take home and work on. And what Scott was talking about, when we started seeing people coming back in for testing, they could regurgitate the basic material, but they had the skill sets then follow up behind it. So in the summer camp, getting information to everybody was pertinent to us, and we tried to cover a lot of different blocks of material so that those people that came in got all the material that they needed to be able to work on the following year to come back and test on. But when they came back, they didn't have an in-depth knowledge of it. Mm-hmm. And that really it bothered me a lot that there were people who could regurgitate the material verbally, but when you actually saw them move, they didn't look like Bikini Tertia people. And if you can't functionalize in it properly under stress, like Scott was talking about, then really you don't have or know the material. And how can you pass that on and help somebody else get better when you're at an intermediate or even lower level where you should be at a higher level with it? So that was our premise on trying to have a little bit less, spend more time to get a deeper understanding of what little material you had versus a whole lot of material and having only a surface understanding of it.
Were you finding this more with the beginner intermediate level, generally speaking?
Across the board.
Across the board. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, what we found is a lot of people would work that, like Danny was saying, you do the technique, but they, as far as in changing it up, let's say you're doing empty hand application or knife application of the same technique, that's where there was a big gap. And part of that was just not having time to spend under supervision to look at, hey, is this right? Is this not right? And so people would make some assumptions, take it home, and then come back to the next time we'd see them and really can be confused as to, I'm not sure if I have this right. And so we would spend time to correct it. So we thought, it'd probably be a good idea if we spent the time, stay with one technique and then show the variations on it. That way you've got a little time that you can watch them do it and then correct things while you're there and spend that time to help iron out some problems.
So,
and then what we were saying was, once the way that the system is set up, once you are trained or have been instructed on a block of material, then you can purchase the review videos.
oh, that's
watch
clever.
the review videos and continue to work on the material. The thing is about the review videos is that the name is in the name. It's a review video. It does not have all of the information.
Mm.
And so it was obvious that people were just studying the review videos and they were regurgitating that. It didn't have all of the extras that we needed them to have, much less the skill sets with it.
I guess my question would be, if you're trying to negate this from continuing, when you guys like post camp, when you say review videos, is there also video kind of post camp, or that would be a lot? I'm guessing though, huh?
We do have post camp videos as well.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, we usually make those accessible. A lot of the technique is recorded during the camp, and that's accessible to the attendees. So they at least get an idea of what was covered on there, because nobody has a perfect memory. You can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
it's hard to remember everything.
Sure. I mean, especially if you're doing like 3 days, I mean, et cetera. So, Tuhon, Jack, so this camp is open to all levels. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, you could be a new, right?
Yes. And, yeah, one of the things that we've done for us, a lot of these is make it a split focus. So we'll give some of the more intermediate advanced techniques for those PTI inspiring. Blocks. In this particular camp, the intermediate advanced people would attention single stick cicadas, whereas anyone who is interested in seeing what the approach are brand new to in general, we're going to end the fundamentals. In this case, it's going to be basic empty hand versus knife. So you can be level from any system, come in and check this out, and you'll find something that will fit you.
Nice. So, all right. So day one, they kind of, Coach Danny. So day one, they kind of Friday, they kind of come in, and is it starting in the afternoon, evening, or what?
Yeah, we started in the morning. It's a all day thing. We start early in the morning, do some warm ups as a group, and then we'll break off into the two different groups. Like Jack was trying to reiterate, was that we'll have anyone that's new to the system that wants to come in. They won't be inundated with all the more advanced material. So we'll have a group that will be working the empty hand versus knife stuff, which is the beginning of the knife work for them. So they'll get introduced to that, and their weekend will be working on all of the empty hand versus knife material.
Okay.
And then our second group will be cicadas, and that's going to be intermediate to more advanced people. And they will be working all the cicada aspects, the drills that go along with that, the 2-man timing drills, as well as the actual techniques of the cicadas themselves. So we'll spend 3 days with those two groups getting in depth on that material, versus in the summer camp, we'll spend 1 day on that same material. This we'll spend 3 days on.
Right.
Just for folks who might not know cicadas, what does that mean?
Scott?
So your Sagitas are your three ranges of techniques with single stick or single sword. It's actually based off a sword, but obviously you got a stick version of them, which is a little bit more of a how should I say? If you're doing this with a short sword or machete, the movements are going to be very tight. You've got three ranges: your long range, medium range, and your short range. If you transfer that over to stick techniques, it's the same ranges, but the motions are more broad because obviously what you can cut with a sword, you can't actually do much damage with that same exact movement with a stick. So the first set is very linear, very tight, very close range. Basically, the width of your shoulders and everything is very tight in on techniques that are meant to go straight in. Your second range is dealing with a little bit more where you can actually get more in with the puño, or techniques where you're a little closer where the live hand can actually come into play. And then your third range is getting into more of the grappling with the stick, where you are the sword, where you're actually close enough to actually tie things up, grapple with the weapon, and then do some of your finishers from there. So I don't know on this camp whether we'll get to all three sets. The focus would be to really spend a lot of time on the first set, and we'll probably drill that one down for 3 days because there's a lot. You really have to get the first set at Largo range. You really have to get that one down before the other two can come into play. So if you don't have the first set down really well, you're really going to struggle with the next two sets. So I think the goal here is to focus on getting everything down on the first set, which is a Largo range.
So each day
So
you guys.
you're asking about with the cicadas, and look at it sort of as a strategy of how do I work against someone who may be equally skilled as I am,
Okay.
Right.
or has a weapon that's very similar to mine as far as for weight and the speed of being able to move it. And so if we're similarly skilled and we have similar type weapons, then Cicada is the sort of strategies that we use based upon the three different ranges: long range, medial range, and corto range.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then when contradas would be if the other guy is bigger and stronger, recontras is if I'm bigger and stronger than the other guy. So it's sort of a strategy of how to use the tactics.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Each day, same kind of schedule, starting in the morning, going into whatever time you guys go.
Yeah, and we're also one of the things that we started. I guess it was 2 years ago now, if I remember right. We used to be in the summer camps. Maybe Jack teaches one thing, and that's the one thing that he's going to teach the whole camp. Scott will teach something, and that's the whole thing he teaches the whole camp. Well, with these camps, we've been switching the instructors off, and so everybody gets to see and gets to work with all three of us, and so they end up get different perspectives, because we all come from slightly different backgrounds. We all have different things. John Scott is a strong background in Taekwondo. I've got several other things. John Jack has had other training besides just Bikini Tertia as well. So, and we're different people. And so we all have slightly different perspectives. So that allows the students to see different instructors teaching the same material, but in a slightly different way. And sometimes there's something that I may be showing that someone just flat doesn't get. And John Scott comes in and says, "Hey, look, do it like this." And, "Oh, okay, this makes sense." So, and it's a good way for everybody to work with all three of us versus just one instructor.
So they're going to get exposed to all three of you. Are you, generally speaking, going to be kind of teaching the same thing? In other words, if we go back to, like, let's say the Sagitas, Largo Mano, so will each of you give your own perspective on it, like maybe like each day or something? Is that, if I understand that correctly?
Yes, I would say. The reality is that one of the benefits of the PTI curriculum is there's consistency in the block. So
And we're losing you again, Jack.
I don't know what guys. I'm in like the best place for
Oh man.
Wow.
So I'll kind of pick up where Jack was leaving. So what we've done is like there's 12 in set one of Sagitas. You got 12 different techniques. So in the morning, John Jack may take set one and maybe number two. And then in the afternoon, if we rotate off, it'll either be either me or Danny will take them from 3 and 4. And then Jack, whoever was teaching, who wasn't teaching the empty hand versus knife in the morning, will now rotate over and pick up where the other instructor left off to keep that progression moving. So we're not going backwards where you start over and, okay, well, Jack comes in and starts over from the beginning. You basically pick up where the next instructor left off. So it gives them a perspective where they can see all the different things. Just like Danny was saying, you can get a different view from all three of us because we all three teach differently, although it's the same material. And we do very good at feeding off of each other. I think that's one of the things we've done very well over the umpteen years we've been together is we do very well to feed off of each other. Just like Danny was saying, a lot of things that I may forget. And it's and Danny or Jack will come in and say, no, here, let's try it this way. And then we'll just kind of build off of it. So it works really well. I think the program, the way we have it set up, is the feedback we've gotten. Most of the students really like the way we set it up here lately.
No. And so is this the format that you speak of? Is that pretty consistent regards camp location and season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean,
well, this is our fifth year. This will be our 5th year.
As far as the spring camp down there?
Spring camp goes, yeah.
Okay.
And the first year was just Scott and I, and we sort of tag teamed each other that way. And that worked out really, really well. And we got really good feedback on it. I think it was the second year that Tuhon Jack came in, and now we can't get rid of him. He's and we love him. I'm teasing. And it works out really well because we all have something just a little bit different. Presentation style is a little bit different, and I learn from Scott. Scott learns from me. I learn from Jack. So we all help each other and we feed off of each other, and it just builds really well. The thing is, like Scott said, we've been together since the early 90s.
Okay. It's a long time.
And training off and on together. So we have a good tie-in we know what Scott's going to teach and how he's going to teach it. And Scott knows what I'm going to teach and how I'm going to teach, and the same thing with Jack. So it works pretty well that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. He is back. Let's swing him back in. There we go. And we should go back to the box format. Perfect. Okay. So, testing of students, you guys eligible to test? You guys, or is it just strictly information-based seminar format?
Go, Jack.
Well, hear me now.
Actually, right now it's better.
Before.
All right, we're gonna try this again, guys. And I have Josh melting down in the back, so that's that. So yes, there should be some testing. We have to kind of formalize who's testing so we can kind of double up. That's kind of one of the bonuses in terms of being able to be tested not just by one instructor, but 3, and that would see the consistency and kind of nod our heads in unison or not. Yeah. Can you not hear me?
No.
He said or not.
No, or not, Clark. Yeah.
I mean, just because we do hold high standards and we do expect a lot, but the testing is fair. No one can say the testing's not fair, and we do our best to be encouraging. We want testing to be a it's not just an evaluative one. So if people test once, they have a pretty good idea what to expect for most tests.
Right. Nice.
Speaking on that,
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
No, go ahead, Scott.
Now, just building off what Tuhon Jack was saying, it gives, if all 3 of us are testing, the individual, if they pass the test, they pretty well know that if all 3 of us have agreed to it, they've actually passed the test.
Yeah.
So it's, if we have a discussion offline where somebody's close or maybe not, then it has to be a majority before we'll pass somebody. So it gives, I think, from a student perspective, they feel a lot better that, hey, I might actually have this down if all three of them have agreed that I passed.
Yeah. I mean, if all three of you are giving the nod, I mean, like, that's interesting what you just mentioned, something that it sounds like you don't let them know right away, because you said sometimes you guys will meet and kind of discuss it and take a vote. So you guys are not letting them know on the spot then, it sounds like.
Occasionally we will. If somebody does really well and they know they're prepared, and you can always tell, because a lot of times we may even close our notebook if they already know what they're doing and they're just fine with the material and they've got it down really well, then there's not a whole lot of discussion that's needed. If there's a few little nuances that are not quite right, or there's some key core elements, the sequencing is not as important to us as actually having the mechanical correctness and the technique down, as far as being a little bit more precise with everything. If the footwork's not right, or if the body position's not right, where you can tell they can't generate enough power to do damage, then if they can't self-correct, or with a couple of little bit of advice from us to make a correction, then that may constitute us to have a discussion offline to see, okay, is this close enough, or do we need to have give them a little bit more time, or something to that effect.
If there was like somebody had to give more time, is that like until the next camp, or do you kind of meet with them individually before then and kind of give them some stuff to work on, and maybe meet with them virtually, or if they're close by in person, or does that kind of vary pending situation? I guess, many factors, I guess.
It's kind of all of that, Dean. A lot of times in the camps, if we test someone on Friday evening, we'll tell them work on it.
Right. Yeah.
Work on it again sometime tomorrow, and then again tomorrow evening we'll take a look at you again, and if you've been able to correct that, and you've been around long enough, you can tell when someone's body mechanics are wrong, or if their footwork and placement is wrong, their balance is wrong. Sometimes it's just wrong.
Or you just know who has good work ethic, and let's just be honest, and who just doesn't. I mean, we just got to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think I can say this for all three of us, in that, Tuhon Bill is the standard, and he has given us reign to be able to hold that standard. And it's extremely important to all three of us that is the standard. And if you don't reach that standard, then you don't pass the test.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, like if you want to, continue for folks to continue the lineage and et cetera, I mean, like your guys' reputation as far as the faction PTI is stellar. I mean, I just know that from feedback I've gotten over the 5 years of doing these interviews. When it comes to PTK, I hear no dirt on PTI. I can tell you I've heard dirt on many other factions, whether it's true or not, but your guys' reputation is pretty stellar. So I think Tuhon Bill is set obviously an expectation of excellence, not just from a social media perspective, but obviously how you guys conduct yourselves. I don't see any of you guys, PTI guys, acting like jerks on social media. So that's something I have profound respect for, like how his instructors conduct themselves. I mean, I think that's important to me anyhow. At any rate,
it's nice to know that. Thank you, and I think that's from all three of us. That's
yeah. Like it really bothers me when I see factions and there's no checks and balances in instructors, and they just go on social media and just do whatever, say whatever, and that I just have absolute zero respect for that. And so I really look like who the head of the organization, how they like it, Bert and Tom Sotis, like Bill McGrath. These are guys that just run clean, excellent organizations. You don't see their staff acting like jerks. It's just not accepted. You know what I mean? You guys obviously carry that out well.
Appreciate that.
We try to keep all the dirt in house and not on it.
right? Whatever you're doing, he's working.
It generally stays between the three of us, you know, and then we do have Chris Verdoes on the council, and then of course John Bill is there
You
too.
know?
A lot of discussion, a lot of times, just is taken care of right between the three of us. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just I can't stand that. You know that, but you know, again, like it was interesting. I was talking to Jack, and I was mentioning this, like, you know, that's my value system. I can't impart, you know, I mean, what might be right for me. I can't say it's right for everybody else. I just know what bothers me. You know what I mean? And sometimes I used to do that. Like, what? How come they're acting like that? Why are they not doing? You know what I mean? But who's to say that? You know, that's my right. You know what I mean? To think that others are going to conduct themselves that way. You know, clearly they don't. It's, you know.
Yep. Well, we're open to everybody, and we're, you know, PTK is for everybody, but not everybody's for PTK.
Yeah.
PTI is for everybody, not everybody's for PTI. It's just the way it is. So
You guys got, so originally though, it was just one camp kind of New York. So now you got the summer camp, you got the spring camp. Is there another camp you guys got going on?
Yes, we have the fall camp. We just established it this past November. It was in Nebraska. That going. So it's part of PTI. Geographically, the summer camp was in New York, and that was the hub. But we understood other people wouldn't be able to make various reasons, and because we had gotten down south, that was the next logical, especially now we change the location time of year, as Danny was saying, focus on reps. We're breaking ground in Nebraska over at John Trezillo's, and
Nebraska. Okay.
we're trying to develop an interest in that Midwest fall.
That'd be neat. So you would have it not just seasonal, but different locations where folks can have an opportunity to go. I think that's clever. Okay. All right.
And then we also have the Orlando camp, which is going to be next weekend after next, or this weekend.
So that's the one Tuhon Bill's doing, the compare and contrast with the different instructors?
No, he's doing that one the following weekend. That's comparisons. The weekend before is going to be for PTI members in Orlando. So he's doing back to back. But for the PTI camp, it's actually be the first one. So Danny and I will be down there for that one, and I think Jack has a work conflict on that.
So the one in Orlando is going to be Tuhon Bill and you two as well.
Yeah, we're basically going to follow Tuhon Bill. He's got some curriculum material he wants to cover, so we're going to kind of be following his lead on that one.
Oh, that's Orlando, and this is the first year, correct?
Actually, no. He's done Orlando many years ago. It's kind of faded away. I guess it was logistics and trying to find a place to do it. It was a lot involved. So it's for many years I did not have it, and so he made the comment, I guess maybe a couple of years ago, about the possibility of doing a winter camp in Orlando. So it's materialized for this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, good. Hopefully you guys can get that going. You got Orlando, then if you got Louisiana, you get Nebraska going, then you got New York, which that would be kind of nice for folks. I mean, geographically speaking,
sure,
opportunity and different seasons where they could attend, right?
Right.
The difference with the Orlando camp this year, which is coming up this coming weekend, is that it's for instructors and certified trainers only.
Oh, so the higher,
right? So it's not open to the general public or anything, and that's the first time that he's done that.
I don't think that's a bad idea, though. Right?
John, Jack, and I have talked for the last couple of years about the potential of doing a instructor training camp of some type, and I think this is maybe the beginning of that sort of thing, to actually have something specific for our instructors and certified trainers to further them along.
Yeah, and just know how to convey information too. Like if they're working with groups and people, I think that's so important. Like not just teaching how to teach, but how to work a room, dynamics, and et cetera, how to lead a group, and like we were just talking about social media, et cetera, and expectations, accountability. Imagine that, right? Stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Wow. So you guys are. It sounds like you guys are got some great things coming along in there.
We're
We're trying.
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 I think, in terms of people who may be watching this and are kind of wondering should they go to the any of the PTI camps, but in particular, it's coming. The answer, obviously, from us is yes, but the stuff, because we talk fundamentally, we talk about the advanced and intermediate material, and I think people just keep in mind. I know when they hear the word advanced, they think that it works, but advanced doesn't mean that at all. Advanced means that it requires more of you to pull off, and that's why it's reserved for advanced practitioners. It requires more of them in terms of knowing timing and knowing more about what you can do. Um, so that's why we try to have a two-pronged approach, because if you don't have those fundamentals down, we want to be available to start getting those fundamentals down. And having that basic empty hand versus knife curriculum is super important because that leaves a foundation for pretty much all of the PTI knife. If your path down PTI knife, and actually next other become that much more, I would not simple, but it becomes more sensible.
Yeah. So taking the basics and just, as far as the attribute developed with those basics, as far as pulling them off. Okay. No, I get it. Okay.
Still cutting out a little bit, Jack, to see if you might
Definitely
get
better though. It's
yeah,
better.
it's better.
Yeah. So
There's nothing more I can do as close to the router and
yeah, no worries. It's better. So yeah, no worries. So folks, okay. So how can folks, those who are interested, how they any one of you three, as far as getting a hold of, or
Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Danny's a contact for Louisiana.
I'm pretty much the contact on it, but of course, if you contact any one of us,
Sure.
we'll certainly get you taken care of. Scott's time is very, very limited, so he's not out there very much at all. So contact either myself or Tuhon Jack, Coach Danny Terrell at gmail.com. You can pay on either Zelle or PayPal or Venmo. And we'll be more than glad to have anybody there. That's the thing. It's not it's an FMA thing. It's yes PTI, but it's all about exploration of yourself and making yourself better with the material. That's all.
yeah. It sounds like plus being around good people and you guys do the whole. I'm sure you guys get the whole food thing, and so Louisiana. So what?
And the food's pretty good.
Some crawfish and et cetera, jumbo, Cajun. Am I getting it right?
That's right. You
Yeah.
got to beat people any way you can.
There you go.
So what? Tuhon Scott, man, you got 3 houses down, man. You got to start thinking about maybe getting out of there. I don't know.
Yeah, there's, right now as Danny said, I don't have much of a social media presence, and right now that's by design. It's basically between my work schedule and still trying to rebuild from Laura and Delta. It's been a little challenging 4 years. So as soon as things kind of line out a little bit better for me on a timing wise, I don't do it. I do on purpose not to be too visible because I don't feel like I can answer people quick enough and be as responsive because of my limitations right now. That will hopefully, knock on wood, change soon. I'm hoping. It probably won't change until I actually retire from my other job. But no, it's I'm kind of noted as kind of the guy in the background. I'm the one that's in the cloud somewhere else that nobody really sees a whole lot of, but I still try to maintain as much as I can, but I just don't have as much of a presence right now. But hopefully in the future that'll change.
That could be mentally healthy though. I don't know if you're missing anything.
Yeah, I'm not much for drama, so it.
Just spend a couple of days in FMA discussion. I'll give you some.
Right. Oh, yes, I can imagine.
There you go. Something else that we do with our camps as well, with the spring camp and again with the fall camp is we have after hour sessions that's as in addition to the camp itself. If you want to learn how to start, if you want to start learning how to spar to do some of the pressure testing, we do a little bit of that as a step-by-step. How do you get into actually being able to do some banging without just jumping into it feet first and just getting beat up? A step-by-step process in doing that. We do that on a Friday evenings, and then on Saturdays, usually after testing, we have something else, empty hands or empty hand combatives or groundwork, something to enhance what we've already have in addition to. So those are always there is available too.
And I'm guessing if they came down there and they wanted privates as well, is that available for you guys?
We can work that out as well. The thing that we run into is time.
Yeah.
You know, all day long, and then eating, and then social time, and the social time and camaraderie time is important. You know that. That's an important aspect of what we do as well.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, making everybody feel like they're part of the family. That's an important thing. So, you know, you end up getting to the point where all of a sudden it's midnight, and then we've had some testing. We did one testing one time. It was about a 6-hour test. Those guys.
Yeah.
So,
lodging. That's what I forgot to ask. So where are folks staying?
we have several hotels here in the
Okay,
area.
so there's enough around. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's not a problem.
Yeah, and Lafayette's close by too, so there's plenty of room in Lafayette. If you
All right, so no shortage then. Okay.
Lafayette Airport is really Lafayette Airport's 20 miles away from us, so it's not bad. And if anybody needs a ride or they're buying or whatever, just get in contact.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, I wish you guys the best on it. Yeah, I mean, like I was telling Tuhon Jack, anytime you guys want to come on promote something, I'm a big fan of the faction, the organization. Just let me know. I'd be more than happy to cover wherever you guys want to cover.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And all right, guys. Hey, I wish you the best on it. And if you want, by all means, just keep promoting an FMA discussion. Just let me know, and I'll prove it right away.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. All right, guys. You guys take care.
All right.
Have a nice evening. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. All right, folks. Yeah, if you're interested in that camp, get a hold of Coach Danny. And I know the flyer is kind of small there, but certainly he can give you all the pertinent information you need in there. Sounds like a great time. And Louisiana, right? All that Cajun cuisine. All right, folks. Wednesday night, Marshall Met, episode 6. Lori Caltera. She's going to be coming on discussing the Pale Rider, something she's been working, as well as women's self-defense. We're going to be talking about that. So that will be Wednesday at 7 o'clock. You'll see the flyer in FMA discussion. But anyway, thanks to those who jumped in to watch, and I hopefully will see you Wednesday.